von Andersek welcoming you to Simple Faith, a series of discussions sponsored by Second Eighth Week Ministries. Our panel of apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers will answer your questions about the Second Covenant faith to help you experience the simple faith of Jesus Christ. Our panelists will be answering such questions as, what does it mean to build your faith? How do you do it? What does it mean to touch Jesus? How does that happen? What is the spiritual priesthood? What are the spiritual tools of Jesus' covenant? And much, much more. Our goal is to equip you with easy-to-understand guidelines that you can put to immediate practice as you study the courses offered by Second Eighth Week Ministries. May God bless you as you begin this journey of covenant faith that Jesus made simple for us.
And they said, "Go up, for God will deliver it into your hand." We're going to see here in a moment that this revelation was not standing in sanctification. Even though the revelation, it was correct regarding the promise, but it was not correct regarding the covenant and sanctification. That's the same thing the false religious system. They can't make distinction between that which is authorized and sanctified, okay, and that which, of course, God has made by promise. Now Jehoshaphat said, "Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we may inquire of him?" The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, and you notice his attitudes he has about truth, "Well, there is yet one man against 400. I mean, this, we see a remnant. We see a very small remnant of the whole. There is yet one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him." So I highlighted the word hate there. He did not like Micaiah, because Micaiah was one that would bring to their attention the covenant faith. That Micaiah said that the Lord is not among you, Ahab, simply because you are not with the Lord, because the Lord has already elected a place which is prophesied by Enoch that it would be Jerusalem, and God confirmed it again and again and again that Jerusalem was the elected area, okay, whose name, Jerusalem, being the city of peace, it was in confirmation of Melchizedek, that God elected this place to be a holy sanctuary for him. There is yet one man, verse 7, by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, for he never prophesied good unto me, but always evil. And of course the word evil here is in regards to his faithlessness of covenant. Ahab had a lot of historical zeal. He had historical zeal, but he lacked covenant zeal. He had historical zeal. Okay, we see this in many denominations today. They have historical zeal. They'll talk about Jesus, on Christmas. They talk about him being born in Bethlehem. Okay, during Christmas, Bethlehem, and of course Easter, Jerusalem. They have a lot of historical zeal, but they have no covenant zeal. But always evil. The same is Micaiah the son of Imlah. Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the king say so." Okay, we need to have a very broad spectrum of revelation here. So let's bring this guy in. The king of Israel called for one of his officers and said, "Fetch quickly Micaiah the son of Imlah." Well, they knew where he was at. They knew his address. But they more or less navigated around his residence. They knew his presence was there, but they did not go there unless they really felt there was something that was a pressing need. And it was only by the counsel of Jehoshaphat. So Micaiah had his own little Bible studies, his own little flock there for a while. And the king of Israel was aware of this, but he didn't like him. Now the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, sat either of them on his throne, clothed in robes, which has to do with the symbol of rank, and they sat in a void place at the entering into the gate of Samaria. The gate of Samaria was similar to the conscience of Israel. The gate of Samaria was the conscience of Israel, whereas the gate of the temple was the conscience of Judah. And all the prophets, of course, came to that gate. But these prophets, false prophets, were nothing more than conscience clutter. They were the conscience clutter, because they were affirming not the covenant but the promise. Okay, they weren't confirming the covenant, but they were confirming promises. Okay, that God gave us this land. Yeah, and that's, of course, what the woman of Samaria brought to Jesus' attention. Okay, and all the prophets prophesied before them. Now Zedekiah, being one of the leaders, one of the chief elders there of the false prophets. Okay, Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, had made him horns of iron. It was symbolic of the bull. It was symbolic of the bull what Enoch had. Okay, and he saw a bull with long horns, and by this bull long horns it subdued, and it was more powerful than all these other animals. So Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, okay, was using this symbol right here for Ahab, saying, yes, let's conquer the land. It's millennial reign time. Yeah, let's conquer the land. And this, of course, is confusion for the Christians today, because the evangelism which they promoted, or mostly the aggressiveness over the last 100 years, is now failing and receding at a rapid rate. Okay, the watermelons are being busted open, the churches are being burned, and the religious leaders there are being persecuted and murdered. But God's hand is in this, to release the seed from these people, that they will begin to examine themselves whether they're in their faith or not. This is their last chance before the tribulation begins. For thus saith the Lord, with these you shall push Syria until they be consumed. Of course, and he was also building out on the revelations given to Elijah and Elisha. Now all the prophets prophesied so. Now this is confirmation of this. You can see that Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, was setting a pattern for all the other prophets to confirm. And that is correct in regarding the structure and frame, but it was an error in regarding its inspiration. It was correct in regarding its structure and frame. And the same thing with Satan. Okay, Satan's structure of government is correct, okay, but it's not sanctified, because he copied God's structure. Okay, God's structure is sanctified. Satan's structure is unsanctified. Even though its frame in its government, okay, was structured in God's image, but it was not possessing God's likeness. Okay, God's image, but not his likeness. The same thing with the false religious system. The similarities are built from a frame which they read about in the book of Acts. It's built by that frame, but the frame of it is absent of its power, likeness of God. It's unsanctified. Okay? So they have their prophets, we have our prophets. They have their apostles, we have our apostles. They have their pastors, we have our pastors. They have their evangelists, we have our evangelists. Their frame is correct, but the likeness is empty of God's power. It's unsanctified. So it's an unsanctified system, which is called the false religious system, or the house of Baal. So we can see the likenesses, or the likeness of image in the frame. Verse 11. Now all the prophets prophesied so, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper. Because this was included in the promises which were spoken to Joshua, which is given to Moses, which is given to him by God. That was correct in regarding the promises. Okay, but the promises were connected to the covenant. Okay, this land I'll give you. This is what the revelation was to Abraham. I'll give this land to you and your seed. Because Abraham, you're a man of faith. But these are children in whom there's no faith. And Moses testified to that, didn't he? Moses testified that in the Song of Moses. Your people wherein there's no faith. So being unsanctified, you're going to try to conquer this land out of the aspiration. And you're going to meet many defeats in this. And this is going to confuse you. And I'll prove it to you, okay, that by this sign, I'll prove it to you that if you go up apart from my stewardship, if you go up apart from my sanctification, they're going to chase you as bees do. And we know that happened in the days of Moses. When the report came back, and Moses told them, it says, now this is God's judgment. You cannot reverse it now. But they thought they could reverse it by zeal. It says, oh, no, we'll do it. Okay, we'll conquer the land. Moses did not agree to it. And Moses told them that God is not with you. The ark of the Lord is not with you, and I disagree with what you're doing. So they grabbed a few zealous people and decided to try to take it themselves, and they were defeated. And, of course, the heathen, from that point on, were encouraged in their gods and in their philosophy to stand against Israel. After 40 years, they still had that mindset because of the one defeat there by the Amalekites there. Okay, the Amalekites defeated Israel on that hill. And they chased him as bees chased him. And many of the people, of course, were even taken captive. And that happened again during the times of Achan, after the incident there at Jericho, okay, where Achan decided to take a few of the spoils there. Okay? Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper. And zeal without covenant is going to bring defeat. For the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. Yes, if you're in covenant, but you're not in covenant. The people read the same thing in the Bible. They read in the Bible about the deliverances and the healings and the miracles and the sanctification of God. It says, and so they read about that, and then they try to romantically apply it to themselves. Romantically apply it. There are some people that actually put themselves in harm's way in order for them to feel religiously qualified for worthiness of God. They actually do that. It's a form of it's a philosophical flagellation as well as also physical flagellation. Physical. They put themselves in harm's way to gain a worthiness of God. Now you can read about that in Chrism magazine. Okay, whereas they say the people in India or the people in the Middle East have a stronger conviction than the people in the States. Remember they talked about that? The people in the United States seem to be very complacent. They'll go to church if they feel like they go to church. Or if it's a windy day or maybe a little rain on the ground, they won't go to church. Okay, and yet these people in the nations will walk miles to go to church, and they'll go against many adversity to get there. They'll go across crocodile-infested rivers. They'll endure persecution and stoning. Okay, so those in the States were romantically beginning to view these things as a form of worthiness of God. Spirituality. They're looking at a spirituality. There's no spirituality involved in that at all. Nothing in that. They would read about that in the book of Acts. Okay, say, look at the diligence of the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts. And they will romantically apply that to themselves to put themselves in harm's way. Because there is a particular individual that was in a prison in Iran for a while because of their Christian conviction. They were missionaries, and there's two women. And they experienced certain deliverances, and they experienced certain, I could say, grace of God. They had experiences that were very complementary of their suffering. And so after they left there, they went back to the States, and as they went around from church to church, began telling people of this great experiences that they had, and that they had these experiences because of suffering. And the people began to build a fable on that. Instead of receiving the experiences of the power of God through covenant, they thought maybe this is the way to do it. And they're looking for a formula. A formula like formula of prosperity, formulas in healing, now formulas in fruit bearing. This is how we get fruit. We go there and we receive our smiting. And let's go back here. So the prophets here, they were building upon a frame of history, but not that bore God's likeness of faith and covenant.